Good morning, sorcerers. It is 6:30 in the morning here. Actually 6:26, just to be specific. And this is going to be another mailbag episode. If you're not familiar with mailbag episodes, well, we've only done one before, so that's okay. But basically, we just talk about some topics that are affecting the realm, the place that we all play and have a good time while we open some fun pieces of cardboard that we got from local sellers, or not local sellers, I guess local in the worldly sense, which means on planet Earth. It's early, you have to forgive me. So as I have my cup of coffee and charge up, say hello to Cat Thulu. Cat Thulu is here, along with Kitten Thulu, which artist RK Post from Magic's History kind of drew a little sketch of for me back in 2017. I love Cat Thulu. I love cats in general, all things living, furry, or not furry even, if they're just, little pygmy sloths or something. I don't know. That's probably furry too. Anyway, so neither here nor there. I hope you're having a great day. I wanted to go over some poll results that happened on the channel. We have a community tab, and I try to post things there at least like a few times a week that may be interesting, or, who knows, just previews of episodes coming up. So if you do subscribe, you'll be able to keep up with that. We have 26 votes in for what we think the most, or the next set will be most likely. And after the dual deck news came out, we knew that there was Frost Mage and there was Lavamancer, and Frost Mage was kind of like Norse-esque seemed, maybe, but Lavamancer was very specifically Egyptian. So one of the choices was Egyptian, then was pirate themed, then space themed, sort of like a John Carter of Mars, and then none of the above. Those were the only four choices. But those are kind of the things that have been bandied about by the community as far as like what might the next set be. And coming up from last place, we have Space and Pirate at 12%. I think they got 3 votes each, if my math is mathin'. And next, second place, none of the above. I would be really curious what those 9 people or so thought was going to be the next set instead, what their kind of ideas would be. So if you have ideas, leave them in the comments of this video, what you think. And then coming up as the winner, which makes sense because Lavamancer is an Egyptian themed sort of art, we have Egyptian at 42%. 42% of 26, I'm guessing, is probably like 11 or 12 votes. So comes out as the winner. Thanks everybody for speaking your mind. I'll try to have more polls up as soon as something interesting to poll comes up. But we're also going to talk about today's mailbag episode, Sorcerer Summit results. Sorcerer Summit just happened. Gothic Season 3. It's the way that you play online competitive in Tabletop Simulator. And you can even play against, there's a sorcery designer, Ira, who plays there all the time. So you can kind of like bump fists with one of the designers. Seems like a really great dude. And he came up in the finals with a pretty cool deck that's like a combo deck. One of the first, if not the first, infinite damage combo that is been in Sorcery, which involves Ring of Morrigan and Town Priest, and then a land that cuts Town Priest's mana down to 0 so that you can infinitely replay it with Ring of Morrigan, and then damage something out that way. So it's a really cool deck. Unfortunately for Ira, he did not take home the trophy. He got Eminent Domained, which I was very excited about, by another deck called Effet Mask Off Sorcerer's Summit Archimago deck. And Archimago played Earth and Fire. Now, it's interesting because SCG Con, if you keep up with Sorcery, you know that Water Necromancer is like one of the most powerful decks, definitely like S tier deck. And that took down SCG Con, even though it had some spice with 2 Salmon of Knowledge, which I'll post here in the video so that you can kind of read it and peruse how silly that card is. I kind of love that it had 2 Salmon of Knowledge. And Gideon was the winner. He goes by ABCDEFG, I think, on Curiosa. Maybe that's a temporary, maybe that's just a temporary moniker because he named the deck Terrible Practice Precon as well. So maybe he was just like trying to hide the deck list, but also needed to put a deck list up on Curiosa and just was like, no one will look at this for sure. But yeah, he played 2 Salmon of Knowledge, which is just a hilarious card. I love Salmon of Knowledge. I mean, it's just beautiful art from Severin Pignot, but also it lets you roll a d20, which, if you know me, I love Dungeons and Dragons. So making a bunch of skeletons, fish, rolling d20s for this fancy salmon to try and draw 3 spells as an actual game plan in a freaking SCG Con DC winning list is one of the most insane things I've ever seen as far as sorcery goes. So kudos to that man for doing something really ridiculous. I'm absolutely in love with that decision. And as we talk about that, before we get to the 2 decks that I'm building, one currently that's very related to one of these previous topics, we're going to go ahead and open something. We're going to, in this camera setup, I apologize, I am rearranging my office and I'm currently looking for one of those, like, I can't really tell you what it is, but like sort of like an arm that will allow me to have my camera over the top of the desk, like so, with some kind of clip or something here. That's what I'm looking for, whatever that is. And I haven't bought one yet. So currently I have my camera taped to a picture frame, to a tripod, and somehow it manages to lean against the desk and have this funny angle. So I will hold cards up for you all to see. This comes from Pangea Gaming in Louisville, or Radcliffe, Kentucky, through Way of Louisville. And I will say that if you see this user on TCG Player, I hope they fix this. But this envelope literally came with this part totally open. This stuff, I didn't cut this. This was so worn that the envelope was kind of just sticking out of the edge. And thankfully, I have all the cards inside, but I was really like, what the heck happened to this thing? And if you look on this side, this part of the envelope, super worn as well, but not open. And so I feel like maybe overstuffed the envelope. It would have been better to send 10 cards and something like this than it would have been to try and shove them all in here. But we got the cards, so here they are. Without further ado, let's take a look at these beauties here. And I'll try to get some light shined on these because there are some foils. We've got squeakers. Look at them shining. Look at them squeakers shine. And I cannot see whether or not things are auto-focusing, so I hope they are for you. And we've got some foily. We've got foily Grand Old Boar. And on the back, we get our full pig action. And this is all for my fairy tale deck. This is sort of a beginner-friendly deck. It allows you to do some funny stuff like casting Feign Death on squeakers so they become stealthy, and also they kind of potentially run into these things, Pigs of the Sounder, which are like the slight Pokemon upgrade version of a squeaker. And then they turn into Grand Old Boar. If you watch one of my decks, my box opening videos recently, you know I opened a foil Grand Old Boar. So now we have 2. Fantastic. But yeah, that's a super fun deck. My friend Carl played it the other day, and perfect value, infinite value, literally got off the top of the deck 2 Pigs of the Sounder, because this doesn't say just, it turns into just 1. Sorry, I tried to flip it because the camera's in a weird spot. It says reveal your next 5 spells, then summon all Pigs of the Sounder that you get there. So super value. Got 2 Pigs of the Sounder off of 1 Feign Death, plus a Stealth Squeakers, which is deadly in case you've ever walked in the forest. And then we also have, to add to the bestiality of this whole thing, we have Sir Yvain, who is like maybe the most Hypnotoad sort of character that exists in all of Sorcery, who's having hallucinations of a grand design in front of him. And then we got cards that draw us. These Sylvan Splendors are wonderful. They draw cards as you play Beasts to those sites. And then we got another foil Grand Old Boar. So now I have 3. I can't run 3, but I like it so much, I bought an extra, I guess. Actually, I just got the box after I made this order. So, you know, sometimes we make some mistakes. Isn't that right? So this next deck that I'm wanting to build, we're going to see some cards for it right here. So let's go ahead and get into maybe one of these first, and then we'll talk a little bit about the deck. So let's see what's in this. I think there's not much in this one. Sometimes I have to open these up. I'm acting all surprised by what's inside, but partially it's because my memory is horrific and I don't remember, but also it's because I have to open these up first to kind of confirm orders, not knowing when I'm going to be able to make the video, and then I just kind of leave them on a shelf until I get a chance to make that video. This is from Markov's Emporium. They're a really big retailer on TCG Player. I don't know if they have a standalone store. I will say I dislike this kind of packaging. I feel like if you own a large store, just like Spring for a hard case, or some little, like, you know, sometimes they make little thin hard cases that can store multiple cards. But like this whole like cardboard and tape thing, like it fits great if you're like an artisanal sort of soap maker. But this is like cardboard that's really expensive. So I don't love this. I'm sorry if I have called anybody out in the comments who does that, but I would say don't do that. And sometimes painter's tape comes off easy, usually, but I've had experiences where painter, especially the blue painter's tape, or this is like masking tape, but like the blue painter's tape, boy, that stuff sticks hard. And I've seen it sticking in cards before, which is just a nightmare. Nobody wants that. And so like this, right? We've got this tape sticking to the sleeve here, and it's like literally just tough. I think you can see how tough it was to get off of there. Oh, but look at the card. All nonsense aside, at least the card's protected in here. There it is. Oh, these things are so hard to get into sometimes. Okay, there we go. We have Torrid Omphalos, Earth and Fire Spellcaster. So Omphaloses, I was not able to pull any out of my Gothic boxes if you were following the channel at all. But in the recent Sorcerer Summit, there's been a lot of Earth. And I love Earth. Earth is part of my Imminent Domain list, which hopefully I can post a link to that right here. I've seen other YouTube videos post links to other YouTube videos. But anyways, this is a deck that is about expanding on into your opponent's territory. And you do that through the power of a spell called Landmass, which is a totally ordinary spell, but it's a spell that draws you a card and expands and it ramps you, and it's just so good that if you get off with that and maybe Imperial Road or Sinkhole, some other land sites that I'll post on the video for you to see, then you can kind of enter your opponent's territory and destroy their stuff, or just cut them off and just keep them on like 3-4 mana. And maybe I'll show a small screenshot or something of what happened to Ira in the Sorcerer Summit, because he was completely cut off into the back row. And it was really impressive how Joffrey, the other player, the Archimago player for this sort of Imminent Domain variant, played that out. So I got an Omphalos. Huzzah! Sometimes I think buying singles is just probably way wiser than buying a bunch of boxes, but maybe it's not as fun. I don't know. So we'll put that somewhere safe alongside all these beautiful squeakers. clear this off a little bit. And I guess we'll just talk about one of the other decks I'm building. Is none other than a deck you have heard from me, Airwolf. Each of these little pockets has like a bunch of wolves, an assembly of wolves. We're going to have so many wolves, and what we're waiting on is a Dragon Lord box from Ed Beard that I got signed, and I'll do a little video because he opened it up live and kind of showed off, and it was pretty exciting. He made it exciting. So I'll let him unveil what the foil will be whenever I post that video. But in that box is a dragon that thinks it's a wolf, and it can fly, and that is going to be the start of my other beginner-friendly, but kind of just fun, goofy deck called Airwolf. And Grey Wolves, if you don't know, are drawn by Melissa Benson, who also did Timberwolves and Magic. Timberwolves had, quote, banding, which allowed them to join together to become more powerful. This is much more explicit and better. Each wolf has +1 power for each other Grey Wolf nearby it on the board. So this wolf itself here would be 10 power or 9 power, because every other wolf gives it a bump, and it starts at 1. So pretty insane if you can get all these things together. I'm looking forward to that deck. It's going to be real goofy, and I can't wait to share it. All right, without further ado, I hope you all are doing well as we get through this. I have no idea how long this video is. My concept of time sans coffee is total insanity. We have no idea. I guess I just doxed myself. Maybe I'll post something over the top of that address if it showed. Hey, we got a Pokemon card. How about that, everybody? Everybody excited about that? This comes from Bel Air Games in Bel Air, Maryland. Okay, what will this Pokemon card be? Well, let's see. We'll do a surprise. I kind of don't love these things either, but I get why people do them. But like, look at this. It's just like, if you don't have just long fingernails, which I don't, I keep them fairly trimmed. I'm like, I'm going to have to open this with sort of a little knife or something. I'm just like, I don't want to deal with this. Just nonsensical plastic stuff. It's just in the way. Maybe I'll do a video on like how I package cards, because I sell as well, and it's very simple. There's an easy way to do it where cards will never be in harm's way and people won't have to struggle. We have an Al Gore, like the senator from Tennessee, Amphalos. He is an earth and a water spell caster. Like, I really wonder, did they name it Al Gore because he's an environmentalist kind of guy? I don't know. I hope so. So this is also going in the deck. So in that deck, and I'll post a link to it in the comments below, the Archimago deck that just won Gothic Season 3, there is indeed both a Torrid Amphalos and an Al Gore Amphalos. So now I have both, and my Eminent Domain deck will be a giant step forward. And then I got some fun cards. Pristine Paradise. I mean, this card is just like an airbrush t-shirt from the 90s, but also just gorgeous. Provides no mana or threshold unless completely empty, which is fine, but because it provides 4 threshold. So very cool. Queen of Midland, which I didn't own. This comes from the, I believe, yeah, this is a beta card, but this came from, this was in the alpha precons, the Earth precon, and it was not in the new beta precons. And so after an opponent draws a card, if they have more cards than you, you may draw a card. I just thought it was interesting. I mean, it costs a lot. It doesn't see a lot of play, but I just kind of wanted it. I was like, we've got a neat, unique mortal here. So I ordered it. Sometimes I'll do that to fill out my cart, just like look what the other inventory is these sellers will have. And then, so if you're selling, one of the tips is post some fun little random things like this that people can just throw in the cart after they make a big purchase. All right. And finally, that's done. We have this final envelope from Brainwash Cards in York, Pennsylvania, which leads directly into where we'll be going. And I say will because there's many of us. Another one of these, but this one was easier. Great. It has our final foil squeakers, which is exciting. What else does it have? It has... Ooh, look at that shine. Oh, it has this thing. Okay, Virile Revenant, Voidwalk, and Elite Spirit. I love it because it just has one mana to gain 1 power this turn. So you can just pump this thing with as much extra mana as you have. It hits from the void. I mean, I've never seen it played anywhere, but it looks neat. And we have Giant Shark. Love a Giant Shark. We have Battlefield, which, you know, is... it's fine. I just love the art. I'm a big fan of Dan Seagrave, so I just enjoy that Battlefield art a ton. And then the final card of today's mailbag episode is Dapperel Vampire. Oh no, that's not the final. Okay. Dapperel Vampire, this is my third one. I didn't get enough out of my boxes, so hey, we filled out that roll. And then finally, another Giant Shark. So now I have 3 of these. I only pulled 1 Giant Shark out of 3 boxes, if you can believe it. Yeah, so sweet. Very cool. And finally, Sorcery Con. Are any of you going to Sorcery Con? Have you heard about Sorcery Con? If you haven't, it takes place in Valley Forge Casino Resort, King of Prussia, Pennsylvania, on February 18th through February 21st. It's a 4-day event. It's going to be massive. There are a ton of artists. I'll post links in the show notes below. If you can make it, me and 4 other people from the Asheville, North Carolina area, one of whom you've seen on the channel, Jude, will be coming to the con. And we're super excited. It's a long ways away, so tickets are still available. You can get a 4-day badge. I don't know if the early bird special is still available, but for $145.90, you can go ahead and get that if it is. And they have special room bookings where it'll be a reduced rate for rooms. Like the biggest room will hold 4 people. So if you go with 3 friends, you can get a like pretty cheap rate to stay in the very hotel and resort that this event is happening. I think we're going to stay off-site maybe, but just because we have 5 total. But I would love to see you all there. If you're going, leave a note in the comments below. Yeah, and so without further ado, I guess we're done here opening these mailbag, this mail. I think that I appreciate you all, joining the channel. There's a new Discord coming up. I don't know if I mentioned that, but I have that going on in the background. And yeah, keep contesting the realm. Peace.